what jobs are even out there? How can I translate catching bugs into a career? There's some small things about the natural world where we would call it messiness. In actuality, nature is a clean functioning system. It's just not in the way that they think. I was a weirdo in like the eyes of other people.
Welcome.
There's over 8 million trees in London, and we're one of the largest urban forests, so take that in.
Hello, I'm Amy Chapman, and this week I've been exploring new corners of my local park. It's amazing what you find when you really pay attention.
And I'm Katrina, Ridley. I love looking at the small wonders of the natural world and what they can teach us about noticing things and tuning in as well.
Oh, beautiful. How have you been connecting to nature this week?
Well, you're actually part of this week, and you probably have more information than I do. But we have been filming and recording, and you made me go outside and be in fresh air, and then you just pointed at a plant and went, "Smell that!" And what plant was it?
It was a hyacinth.
And it was just that reminder of how smells can take you back to moments of. I remember having one of those in my garden, and actually, I think picking it for Mother's Day and giving it to my mum. I think she thought that was sweet, but also livid that I'm like chopping out her flowers from the garden. But you were part of my moment this week.
I'm so glad I could help you connect to nature.
What was your nature connection this week?
So this week I have been trying to befriend my local ducks, and I've just noticed that there's always this one pair of ducks around, a male and a female, and they seem really friendly. So I've been feeding them, and they are super friendly, and they're always like coming back for more food. So I feel like soon I might have a couple of pet ducks.
Have you named them yet?
No, not yet, actually. Any recommendations? Maybe we'll get the viewers to write in.
Yeah, no, I was like trying to think of a clever pun. I'm like, no, this will be an Instagram poll.
Yeah, perfect. But today we've got Johnathon Miller-McCall in, who is a science communicator. He's a conservationist, and he is all about making nature make sense, which is so important.
Yeah, and just being very honest and blunt about it. I love speaking to anyone in this space who's not from like a super privileged background and is just like making massive moves in, making all these things accessible and is so enthusiastic about it. So let's get into the chat.
My name's Johnathon Miller-McCall, and I'm a naturalist, content creator and conservationist. For me, a regular day will be exploring new green spaces, capturing moments in nature that I can share with people online to highlight the wonders of the natural world.
Johnathon, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you're enjoying being surrounded by greenery in the studio.
It's a big distraction. I'm trying to focus on you guys.
Just look straight ahead, straight ahead.
We normally start each episode with a quick fire round, a bit of a this or that. We want your instinctive reaction.
Okay. I'm ready.
I feel like the more tired I get, the weirder they get as well. So.
That's perfect.
Sorry about that. Are you ready, Johnathon?
I am ready.
Hey, beaches or forests?
Forests.
Binoculars or hiking boots?
Binoculars.
Birds or bees?
I just said binoculars, so I can't really... Bees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Rainstorm or brainstorm?
Rainstorm.
Explore the jungle or jungle music?
You can't do that. You can't do that to me.
Is he really an outdoors person?
Explore the jungle.
Wear waterproofs in a heat wave or Speedos in the Arctic?
We'll go Speedos in the Arctic.
Fresh Air or The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Fresh air.
Okay. I was really impressed by that last one.
Yeah. Great
Just
question.
humouring myself here.
For anyone who doesn't know about you, could you give us an overview of your work and what you do?
Okay, so a lot of my work surrounds nature connection, environmental education, inspiring more curiosity in people to stay in tune with the natural world, especially in city environments. I grew up in the city myself. I'm from South London, so I ended up encountering people that felt like they had no real connection to nature or didn't know enough, so they kind of felt a bit sidelined and didn't know how to get in. And the purpose of my work is to help people find their own part of nature that they gravitate towards. And hopefully that inspires passion and action to protect it.
Do you remember the first time nature made you really feel something?
Yeah, there's a photo of me as like a toddler kneeling down in some grass, looking at what bugs are there. And like I have a huge afro at the time. I don't know how I was even able to see, to be honest.
Sounds iconic from get-go.
I thought it would sound really cliche because people are like, oh, I've loved animals since I was a child, but I literally have. Like I haven't like loved anything else more than nature. So yeah, that was probably the first time. I think it's when my parents noticed I was taking it like the natural world, taking notice of the natural world, and I thought that's what comes to mind.
And who introduced you to it? Was there like a person who inspired you, or?
If anything, it was Steve Owen and then David Attenborough. I think Steve Owen really inspired me to get stuck in, because you see him just jump on a crocodile, but obviously I can't really do that. So I have to jump on
London.
So I'll start with like a ladybird.
Yeah.
Jump on it like that.
Level one.
Level 1, grasshopper. And I think, that helped me like really go outside and get involved. And I think David Attenborough was like the scientific brain side, like this cool fact, that cool fact. And then I started telling people random facts about animals. My family used to call me Professor as a kid because I would not stop going on and on about animals. Like, did you know? Did you know? Did you know? And then,
I bet that wasn't annoying at all.
No. Depends. I don't know. You have to ask them.
I do feel like a lot of people like get interested in nature as kids and then they lose it a little bit as they become teenagers or young adults. Is that something that you experienced as well?
I think when you hit teenage years, it's a very awkward time. You don't know what's going on. You don't even know yourself. And there's things that are like considered cool. Nature wasn't one of those. I was a weirdo, basically, in like the eyes of other people.
Welcome.
Yeah, I feel welcome. Now that like I'm doing the work I'm doing, I'm with weirdos all the time. And it's great because everyone has everyone thinks the same. But back then, I think people who were close to me knew that I loved wildlife, but I think a lot of other people couldn't really understand and thought it was kind of this weird obsession. Because like I would be catching insects in containers and just looking at them. There used to be like a landfill that I'd drag my mates to because wildlife basically took over, and we'd go and like catch insects and whatever. And that kind of slowed down when I was a teenager because I was like, I don't really want to do that. Bit weird. And I kind of found that people didn't really understand why I wanted to work with wildlife, and kind of thought, oh, it doesn't really look like that's your thing. And I was like, what does a conservationist or a wildlife fanatic look like? It doesn't have a particular look, I think, that was a bit of a barrier I had to overcome, kind of the whole initial reaction of people where they're like, oh, I haven't heard that before. That's a bit strange.
This episode of Connect to Nature is sponsored by Fairtrade. If you care about nature, climate change, and where your food comes from, here's something worth thinking about. The people growing many of the products we rely on every day, from coffee and chocolate to tea and bananas, are already facing some of the worst impacts of climate change. Extreme heat, flooding, and crop failures are making it harder for farming communities to earn a living, despite contributing the least to the climate crisis.
Yeah, Fairtrade's Do It Fair campaign is calling for a future that is fair on the planet, where businesses are held accountable for their environmental impact. And the people growing our food get the support they need to adapt and thrive.
You can help by choosing Fairtrade products and adding your voice to Fairtrade's petition calling for stronger laws to protect people and the planet. Find out more and sign the Fair on the Planet petition at fairtrade.org.uk. And together we can help build a future that's fair to people and fair to the planet.
I was drawing on personal experience, like I never used to have an interest in nature or the outdoors. I feel like I've like tripped and fallen. And
you're really immersed now.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone from 0 to 100. It's gone from ladybird to crocodile pretty quick. But I guess for me, I felt like, not just in terms of diversity, but like social class, I felt like, oh, I can't belong there because I didn't grow up in Cornwall, or I don't know about all these things. And for me, I felt like my friend Jack gave me almost like permission to be in that space. You know, he was like really into climbing and hiking, and I was saying, oh, I wish I could do that. Was there someone who made you feel like you could belong, or were you just like, oh, like this is my area?
Yeah, I think like I had a lot of conversations with myself about like what I wanted to do going forward. And I think it kept coming back to wanting to work in nature. Like I think as much as I tried to sidestep or go for this like career option that will guarantee me money. Like I nearly went to uni to do accounting, and that would, God knows how that would have ended.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't feel it.
I don't even want to think about it. I really, that it came down to that, and I was like, I can't do that. Like I need to. This is for me. Like when I was talking about that photo, I look back at those, and I'm like, yeah, no, this for me to go in and like completely disregard that love for the natural world, that wouldn't make sense. I'd be doing myself a disservice. And I think younger Jonathan definitely is happy or would be happy that I'm doing the stuff that I'm doing now.
Was there a moment when you realized that you didn't have to travel to see nature? You didn't have to go find crocodiles?
Yeah, I did. I did, yeah. At first I was like, oh, I really want to go out into the countryside because there's so many different places like this, like the Lake District. And I did go to Cornwall a couple of times as a kid. And I think I wasn't really that connected to nature at that point for some reason. If I was to go back, I would definitely do things differently. But obviously I was a kid going through the motions. But yeah, I think the more time I spent in nature near me, I found like you don't need to go far. Like I've got like a park with this overgrown secondary woodland that's like 2 minutes down the road from me, and I go there still to this day. I was like, from when I was a kid, I've always gone there just to like stand and watch. Like I've seen so many cool birds there, so many cool plants, and yeah, that's become like a bit of a refuge for me. And it's going back to what you said, it's definitely made me realize that there's so much life around us. Yeah. No matter like if we live in the city. Is
there a place in London that you feel like has lots of nature, but is really overlooked?
Well, it's that park. It's that park because it came out of like a demolished house. So there's like remnants of it there, like really old stone structures. There's a lot of litter, but I just like that it's a bit rough around the edges because nature's still prevailing and still persisting and resisting to all of the stuff that goes on and all of the disturbances and pollution. And I think there's a lot of inspiration that can be taken from that.
Yeah. And so backtracking, you obviously didn't become an accountant. What did you do, like career-wise?
So I actually got into credit control, which is still accounting.
Yeah. Very simple.
Nature,
credit control.
So I didn't really do that well escaping initially. I did credit control for about 1.5 years. Sold my soul is the only way I can describe it. It definitely, I can take positive things from it, like the confidence in the workplace, because that was a bit of a big boy job. People were tired there. Like I had gone from working in retail in like Sainsbury's, Sports Direct, to then doing credit control, debt collection, calling people up saying, please, could you pay this invoice? Please don't air my emails, like, and all of that stuff. But I eventually like left, but I can still take positive things like just the whole communication, professionalism. I think that really helped because I was very, very timid going into that job. Very timid. I remember walking up the stairs to the floor where credit control was on my first day, and the office just opened out like that. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on here? Like, I need to go home. I was like, what have I done? Like, for the sake of money. But that was an experience. That was an experience.
Do you feel a lot more at home in outside spaces?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's good that it took me going through that myself, realizing going into a space that's like the complete opposite of me, to then finding my degree that I chose to do. Like literally gave my notice, left, and started uni that week.
And what was the degree?
In 2020. Animal management and conservation, which is obviously right up my street. So I did that for 3 years. And yeah, it really helped me build that confidence and build that on that knowledge. And it made me realize that I had like a lot of knowledge that I retained already from when I was a kid. So it gave me even more confidence in what I know and what I believe in. And it really opened my eyes up to actual paths, because before that I was like, what jobs are even out there? What can I even do? Like, how can I translate catching bugs into a career? It sounds like such a wild concept. But then, going to uni and meeting more people really like opened my eyes to that world.
I feel like the accessibility stuff starts so early on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not around people, or often if you're not in a privileged community, how are you meant to know you can be a filmmaker or a biologist or,
It definitely impacts, like, I think, your belief in yourself, because if you're surrounded by people that are like, they're not interested in that, and that's like the furthest thing from something that they'd be interested in, you're kind of like questioning yourself, like, what am I doing? Like, you're always looking behind now instead of looking ahead, which can take away from your passion, I think. But I stayed headstrong, and luckily it's really like helped me out, because I had to be really, really stubborn about that, because I was like, I really like, I have to survive somehow. But then I was like, I also want to be happy. Like, I don't want my bank account to just be happy. I want to be mentally sound, because if that trade-off between happiness and money it's a big conflict that we always go through. But I think making that small sacrifice back then really, really helped me now. It was definitely worth it.
Yeah, sometimes you just end up having to go down a completely different path to find what you actually do need to do. You mentioned at the beginning that you're passionate about letting people find what they're interested in order for them to connect to nature. Is there a moment when you've seen that and like seen the impact nature has had on someone? Yeah,
I think actually more recently, I went to this park called Nonsuch Park, which is like kind of just outside of London. It's like Surrey area. I took one of my mates there and I was like, let's just go bird watching. And he somehow agreed, because my close friends on like, they don't really gravitate towards nature. They appreciate it, but it's not the first thing on their mind. But he was like, yeah, I'm up for it. We went to the park, saw a green woodpecker, saw a great spotted woodpecker. All the birds seemed to come out, and he was like, oh my God, what is going on? And I really like enjoyed witnessing that, because he was like, oh my God, like we saw a great spotted woodpecker, like I think the distance that we are apart. Like it was very, very close. And I was like, I'm grateful that I saw this, because not many people get that experience, even though it is there. It's just doing it and taking action and going outside. And that was quite a beautiful moment, I think.
In your Instagram bio, you said like, what was it? Making nature make sense.
Making the outdoors make sense.
Making the outdoors make sense.
Yeah.
What do you think doesn't make sense to people? Like, where do you think the barriers are?
I think little things like bugs. Like, I think there's some small things about the natural world where it's like, we would call it messiness, but it's just the intertwined world that is nature. And it kind of freaks people out, because we've been kind of programmed to see clean, well-structured systems, when in actuality, nature is a clean functioning system. It's just not in the way that they think. So it's definitely a bit of a shock. It's like, oh my God, we're just walking through a woods. Like, what's that about? But you need to really like immerse yourself and slow down, because I think people think this is going to be some quick experience, quick dopamine hit, which I think we are also not great with. We need to like really take the time to take notice of like what this plant is, or what this bug is, or what this bird is. And and I think people sometimes find that hard. But I think it's kind of like a practice thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the first time someone who's completely far removed from nature going into a green space would probably not appreciate it as much as if they went a few times and kept going. You have to kind of find your spot, as like your sit spot, your chill spot in nature. And like, that's your bit where you can observe everything in your own way.
Yeah, and watch it change through the seasons as well.
I think that's another thing, watching what comes up at what part of the year like adds to that connection, because you're now keeping up with the natural world. You're keeping up with its processes, with its seasons and looking at what's there during which season. And I think you feel more up to date with it. You're not out of the loop and disconnected.
Yeah,
I
remember I used to work in an office and...
What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Deeply miserable at the time.
Wow.
And like, I didn't even notice the seasons because all I was doing was like walking to work.
It's all that artificial light.
Indoors. Yeah. And the only way I felt the difference in the seasons was like, oh, I need to put on a coat.
Yeah.
And that is it. So like actually slowing down and noticing things can make you feel so much more
100%
connected. But what do you think is like the barrier to people? Because the way you talk about connecting to nature seems so accessible.
Yeah.
What do you think is stopping people from going outside and slowing down and noticing things?
I think one thing is people can be averse to changing their routine. It takes a while to kind of make that a habit, and that's fair, especially with everything else going on. Like, everyone has different circumstances, and that can kind of take them away from using nature as kind of like a benefit for your well-being. But I also think that another thing is in the broader sense, like knowledge can be a barrier. Like, they don't know enough, and they think they need to like go and spot everything when it's just about being outdoors. Like the very base of it is just being outdoors and appreciating what's around you. And then you can kind of immerse yourself slowly over time and nurture that knowledge. But I think some people may have the impression that they need to like get it straight away when you don't need to, because they might see someone else that is a nature nerd and you can kind of feel like you're not that, but that's that person and you have to have your own experience, you know. I think those two are big barriers. There's also a lot of class barriers. People may feel like they're not comfortable in certain spaces because they don't see a lot of people that look like them or of the same background or lived experience. But it definitely it does really take that first step to build that community in that space, which then expands into everyone believing that this space is for everyone. Nature is for everyone. We come from nature. So it's definitely breaking down those barriers that we've kind of internalized through systems. It's a lot of resistance, I think.
I think it's so important as well. Like you said that in such a concise way. Like people need to hear that message of like, you don't need to be an expert.
Yeah,
like,
not at all.
I can imagine if I heard that back then, like you're probably giving many people permission right now. And also I think sometimes actually it's not even about us.
Yeah.
Like I do some like outdoor climbing stuff. I remember like going to the Peak District with my friends. And I mean, like we're quite a multicultural group.
Yeah.
And in my head, there are points where I'm walking around the countryside and like getting stared at. It's just.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
But I just thought like, this isn't even about you. Like someone just needs to start and do that. Literally. And sort of reverse that kind of. Those
narratives.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those because someone might get the impression that we're not welcome there, but it's not that. It's you're fully in your right to go to this space and immerse yourself. Like you don't need to think that someone's going to pull you up and be like, "Sorry, you can't be here." And if that happens, then you keep going. You walk right past them and carry on with exactly what you're going to do anyway. Immerse yourself.
And what is your? We were talking about sort of introducing people to their little parts of the natural world so they can fall in love with it. What's your like nature addiction right now?
My nature addiction more recently is I'll randomly just walk into my garden and just stare at the plants, like no matter what time of the day. My mum's like, "You really love that garden," because I'll go out in the middle of the night with my torch and be like, "What's going on?"
In the night,
like, yeah. Like I've recently tried to revamp my mum's garden. And I've been like throwing so many seeds down and I'm just trying to track all of the growth and add new additions, change the layout. Like I recently added some primroses and I keep going outside to check. Like it's as if they're going to get up and leave. Right? I'm like,
must check they're all right.
I'm like, how are you guys? You still okay? I
can relate.
I'm very protective of my plants now. And that's a habit that I've gained in from last year. I wasn't a serial gardener much, but I kind of was like, I have all this space. And my mum was like, do what you want. So I was like, cool. You said it, and it's been a real addiction ever since. It's been great because I can just go outside and sit, and I don't need to look at a screen. I can just, it's kind of like nature TV in real life.
Yeah. And it's free.
Exactly. Don't have to pay no licensing or subscription for that.
Yeah, it's so good. And healing as well.
Yeah.
What do you want your impact on the nature space to be?
My impact, I actually want to take J Talks Nature more offline as well, because I know social media is great for spreading the message, spreading awareness, and kind of keeping people up to date without them having to like see you in person type thing. But I really, really want to stress that you can't have one without the other. I feel like the two combined really help communicate the importance of nature and why we should protect it. So I want to do more guided walks. I want to take people into nature, witness those moments where where it clicks for them, and educate people about the natural world in person as well. I like being with people. It's really ironic because I'm online, chronically online, and I like crave this kind of interpersonal, in-person connection because that's just how I am. And I think, that's the type of impact I want to have and keep that going.
I can relate. Like all of my content is online, but about getting outside, which feels kind of...
It's a bit of a conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we're using social media to do some good.
I think any type of nature content on social media, you're using social media for what it's for, what's meant to be for.
Yeah. I have so many friends who are more social media-y, and they're like, I feel like I'm not doing enough in this sort of climate in many ways. And it's like, no, but what you're doing is so valuable. Where you're scrolling the internet and there's just rubbish popping up and doom and gloom. Like, if someone's then telling me about a caterpillar, it's just like each person doing their little part of the jigsaw.
I think, having that those random bits of optimism online is a lifesaver in the current climate that we're living in, because there's so much going on. There's a lot of doom that's being like projected onto people. And I think having those moments in nature that are like that are filmed and posted, I think can really take someone out of that doom and gloom mindset.
Is there anywhere that you think people walk past every day that you think they should slow down and stop and notice things?
Oh, I think I've got a couple things. Urban trees, take a minute to stop and admire, because they are doing a great service for cities with our urban heat climate. They're helping with climate regulation. They're helping to support biodiversity. There's over 8 million trees in London, and we're one of the largest urban forests. So definitely like take that in. Take that in, how much London is booming in terms of biodiversity. Another thing that comes to mind, I think the Thames, people just traverse it as if it's like just a landmark that isn't living. I know over the years, the Thames was biologically dead hundreds of years ago. And you're now starting to see that resistance from nature. I think there was a seal spotted in the River Lee. I think that's connected to the Thames. Hope I haven't got that wrong.
It is a river.
It's
London.
a river.
I should know. I'm like, the River Lee, where does that go?
But yeah, like you can see that life is still persisting. And I think it's a great opportunity for people to stop and admire the life that is supported by the Thames, because it was originally biodiverse, and it is still getting there. It still has its issues with pollution, etc. But I think something for people to take notice of definitely is the Thames.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Like people just treat it as like a border.
Yeah, like it's, you're on the other side of the Thames, I'm on this side of the Thames. It's like kind of like they treat it as something that separates us, separates north and south. I don't want to leave out west and east.
I did say to you, I was like, I can't have any friends south of the river.
Yeah.
That's very far.
It is. Whenever I go to like something going on up in north, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to get ready, mentally prepare myself for this journey. But it is great. But yeah, like the Thames is definitely something that people should be admiring and appreciating. This may be off on a tangent, but have you read? There's a book by Elif Shafak, and it's like a fictional book. All of they are written so beautifully, but she draws upon different points in history and different cultures. And the way one of her books, she talks about the Thames, and it's like flipping between past and present. And
Who wants to read a really good book? Just like the way different cultures approach water and that aliveness. It's like I love hearing different cultural perspectives on that. Or like, before we've spoken to someone who is from a Colombian background and about like, people talking to nature. It's just nice to be inspired internationally rather than, us Brits can be very polite sometimes, like a linear approach. I've hugged a tree and got a few weird looks.
Like you need to do more. I think, but more on like the like blue spaces. I think just as much as green spaces, they are connected, and I think we've done a lot to our blue spaces, like straightened rivers, put them underground, but like the ones that are still above ground, really, really take those in and appreciate those, because the connection between land and water is just, it's there. You can see it right in front of you.
Yeah. Being near water always feels so good as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is there anything since connecting to nature that has changed the way you live your daily life?
I don't think much has changed.
He's always been there.
Because I've always been there. I think I've become a bit more shameless with like me observing nature in public. I think sometimes like when you stop and admire something, you can kind of think like, you're kind of like, has anyone seen that? I kind of look like I've lost my mind. But like being bold with it and like really appreciating life around you, I think it takes you out of the hustle and bustle around you. And I think I used to be a bit like unsure of that, how that would look, because I was a bit more like self-conscious. But I think over time, I've just learned to be like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to go hug this tree. I'm going to go look at this ladybird. I'm going to go to the park 5 times in one day. like I'm not going to, you need to really be bold with it.
So when you step outside your front door, where is it that you first see nature? How close to your front door can you find it?
There's an elder tree growing in my neighbour's front garden that attracts a lot of birds. So I've gone out my door and seen woodpeckers like right there. Chirping
You're so
away.
lucky with woodpeckers.
Recently it's been mad. I'm lucky with nuthatches as well. I see them at work all the time. But yeah, when I walk out my front door, I do see a lot of birds straight away. They love coming to all of the bushes with the berries because they're right by my house. And yeah, that's like the first thing I hear. A lot of like house sparrows, and it's good to hear because they're in big decline. They've been in a lot of decline and they're struggling, and it's really good to hear those birds that are supposedly not doing great, but they're still persisting. And there's a lot of hope in there, I think, and it's quite refreshing to step outside and you hear that noise straight away, like it's booming, like you can hear like hundreds of them.
Rackety birds.
Waking me up.
What's that noise?
I'm like, oh.
You've given lots of great practical tips already, but I suppose to round off, if someone's listening, what would you encourage them to do today to connect with nature?
One small thing, don't walk past that tree. Don't walk past that green space or that allotment or that community garden, because there's so much life, it's bursting with life. And all it takes is you taking a minute to have a look and just appreciate it. Wherever you are, on your way to work or on your way back from work, on your way to wherever, just take a minute. Because there's so much green around us in the city. And I think it just takes that action of just slowing down a sec. Like I'd like to call it dropping in to yourself and really take in your surroundings. Yeah.
You've really personally called me out there, because I've I moved a few months ago and I walk past this amazing community garden.
How dare you?
I know. And every time I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then it's like the social barrier. I'm like, I don't know anyone, or like, you know what?
Yeah.
So next time I see you, I promise.
I'm going to ask you, did you walk past that community garden? Again.
be driven by peer pressure and shame that we can do that.
Yeah. We're good at that. So I think if you want someone to connect with nature, maybe just be like, I hope you did that. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm not going to be happy about it.
Nature accountability. We can start. That's the whole
that makes
thing.
it sound nice. So yeah, let's call it that rather than guilt tripping and pressuring.
Have you done it?
Let's just make sure everyone's connecting to nature in every way possible.
In a nice way.
And it's so easy though, to just slow down. I feel like very empowered to just actually look at things, but I'm never going to get anywhere now.
We get kept up with this whole like pseudo productivity. I think so much that we just pass by everything because we're like, need to get that done, otherwise can't make ends meet, blah blah blah. But it won't take much out of your day to really just quickly look around, take a breath, and then carry on. You know,
it's like an investment, isn't it?
It is investment in yourself, in your like inner child as well. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
And it just feels like what you're doing is so relevant and exciting. And I'm keen to see how it all blossoms from little you with the ladybugs.
I'll keep making younger Jonathan happy, I think.
I really like hearing people's journeys where they've like fought to go against the grain, like him noticing that uncomfortable feeling in his corporate job and then being brave enough to be like, nope, I can't hack this for life. And I think, I don't know, it just proves to me that we all are connected to nature deep down, and you actually sometimes just have to listen to see what part you can play.
Yeah, totally. And I just can really relate to that feeling of feeling uncomfortable in an indoor corporate officey environment and feeling so much more at home in nature. And the fact that you don't even have to go far away to connect with nature. You can go to your local park, or even if you live in London, go to the Thames.
Yeah,
an overlooked nature spot. And thank you for spending some time with us in this episode of Connect to Nature. We hope you'll step outside today, even for a moment, and reconnect.
Yeah, and please do share your outdoorsy stories with us too. We love hearing all about them, and we look forward to seeing you next time.